ministry to the aviation regulator, the government, the local
హాయ్
government
నేను
in
కెవిన్
Gujarat, the
ఈ
Western
రోజు
state
మనం
of Gujarat, the
మైక్రోసాఫ్ట్
city
ఎక్సెల్
of
కేవలం
Ahmedabad,
15 నిమిషాల్లో ఎలా
as well
ఉపయోగించాలో
as
నేర్చుకుందాం. మీ డేటా
the
నుండి
central
అంతర్దృష్టులను
operation teams
విశ్లేషించడానికి
on ground.
మరియు సంగ్రహించడానికి ఎక్సెల్ సరైనది, కానీ ఇందులో చాలా మెనూలు మరియు బటన్లు ఉన్నాయి. అవి దేనికి? ఈ వీడియోలో మేము వాటిని వివరిస్తాము, కాబట్టి మీరు మీ డేటా వెనుక ఉన్న కథనాన్ని అర్థం చేసుకోవడం ప్రారంభించవచ్చు. ఎక్సెల్ ప్రారంభించడానికి 2 విభిన్న మార్గాలు ఉన్నాయి. మొదటి మార్గం మీ వెబ్ బ్రౌజర్లో
the home state of India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi and of the Home Minister Amit Shah in Ahmedabad. There's been the place they've been, they've been living. They lived earlier before moving to Delhi, and because the crash happened in a very densely populated area, in the middle of a residential area, the logistics of how the rescue operations work has also been very, very challenging. On ground that BBC have been speaking to tell us that, just the fact of picking up the debris from the ground, finding the survivors, finding the bodies itself would be a big challenge, considering the fact that the aircraft landed on top of operations work. A building has also been very, very challenging. On ground that BBC have been speaking to tell us that, just the fact of picking up the debris from the ground, finding the survivors, finding the bodies itself would be a big challenge, considering the fact that the aircraft, the logistics of clearing all that up and finding out the reasons for why the crash happened even more challenging.
Tell us about the links between this city and the UK, because this was a very busy flight. It leaves on a regular basis. Tell me about the community there and the links with the community here in the UK.
Well, Gujaratis who come from this western state of Gujarat are a big diaspora in the United Kingdom as well, in London and around the cities in UK. Families travel. There are many business families that have business connections both in the United Kingdom and India. And flights that that operate from India, from Ahmedabad to London or to other parts of the UK, ferry most businessmen or families of people who are living there. And these connections go decades ago. The diaspora, the Gujarati diaspora in the UK have been living there for a long time, have connections here, both business as well as family. So, there are about 15 or 12 flights that fly from Ahmedabad Airport to Gatwick Airport every day, and this was one of them.
I've just been telling our viewers the news that the NTSB, the Air Accidents Bureau from the United States, will lead their own team of investigators to India, which you would anticipate includes engineers, flight investigators from Boeing. But what sort of capability? That tragedy. So this is one of the single worst losses of life of Britons in a plane crash.
Yeah, I was talking to, we don't know how many of those were British Gujaratis necessarily, but I think I'd take a safe guess to say the majority of those who were travelling back to the UK may have been of British Gujarati descent. And speaking, as I say, to various people who are kind of connected in the British Gujarati community, this sentiment really stuck with me, because one man told me that this is the worst disaster for British Gujarati since the Bhuj earthquake, which was back in 2001, which you of course will remember, Christian. So a lot of pain. Of course we don't know who was on board that plane, but as I say, it would be a safe guess to assume that a lot of those who died who were Brits on board were of British Gujarati descent.
Regina Vaidyanathan at Gatwick, thank you very much for the moment. If you are just joining us, let's bring you up to speed with what we know so far about the crash. Here's Merlin Thomas from BBC Verify.
Here at BBC Verify, we're examining videos circulating on social media to piece together the moments before a London-bound Air India jet crashed shortly after takeoff. This is a video appearing to show the plane in the air moments before the crash. It's currently being used by a lot of news organisations, and we're looking into it at present, but it's currently still unverified. We're not showing you the moment of impact, so we've cut the video just there. We've geolocated and verified this video, which shows a large plume of smoke rising into the sky. Now, Ahmedabad is a large city in the state of Gujarat, the home state of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And the video I just showed you was filmed here, not far from Ahmedabad's international airport. Now, we don't yet know the exact crash site, but we do have this data from the flight tracking website Flight Radar 24. The Boeing 7878 Dreamliner took off from Ahmedabad Airport at 13:38 local time, heading for London Gatwick. Reports say there were more than 200 people on board. And in this image, you can see how the plane moved to the end of the runway. And flight tracking data ends with a plane at an altitude of 625 feet. Then Flight Radar 24 said it started to descend with a vertical speed of around 475 feet per minute. An aviation expert told BBC Verify that the weather forecast at the time was clear and stable at the time of the departure of the flight. Now, we've also geolocated this video where you can see large plumes of smoke rising into the sky. We haven't yet seen any air traffic control recordings or live transmissions yet, but at BBC Verify, we're still piecing together videos to understand the details of what happened, and we'll bring you the latest as we get it.
Thank you to Merlin for that. Let's pick up some of what she was telling us there with Scott Hamilton. He's a commercial aviation expert. Scott, it's good to have you with us. A lot of the experts are commenting on the wing flaps and the extension of the wings. What do you see when you look at that video?
When I look at the video, it looks like the flaps were not extended into the takeoff position. I couldn't see the leading edge of the wing. Nobody could, to understand if the slats were extended as well. The investigators will certainly look at the flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder to determine if those flaps and slats were not extended or whether they were. And if they were not, if it appeared to be an airplane issue or if it was a pilot issue and failure to set the flaps and slats when they should have.
Can you explain the extending of the wings? When is that done? Because I think whenever I fly and I look out of the window, they are usually extended and they're testing the flaps before they set off. Is that right? You would expect that to be done at the beginning of the runway.
Well, usually the wings are configured while you're on the taxiway, taxiing to the runway. And in this case, Flight Radar appears to have shown that the airplane took off from more than halfway down this 11,000-foot runway at about the 5,900-foot level, which is way too short a takeoff distance for a fully loaded 787 for a long-distance flight like this. Now, the investigators will either confirm that or not, and if that was a contributing factor, the airplane may not have even been able to properly reach takeoff speed in that distance.
What do the flaps, the extended wings, what do they do in terms of lift? Can you get into the air if they're not fully extended?
That's a maybe question. Maybe they can get into the air. There have been some other flapless takeoffs. I can think of two, Delta Airlines and Northwest Airlines, and they got up off the ground, but they immediately started to wobble and settled back into the ground and crashed. Now, this 787 clearly got up off the ground more than these other two accidents that I just referenced. So the investigators are also going to be looking at the power settings of the engines. They'll be looking at the maintenance records of the airplane. They'll be looking at the histories of the pilots as well as a whole bunch of other factors going into this.
Is there any other reason, apart from pilot error, why they might not be extended?
Well, it could always be a mechanical issue of some kind, but
well, so you might have set the controls, but they might not have extended.
Yeah. We would expect to hear from the cockpit voice recorder an audible warning if the flaps and slats were not extended. And the cockpit voice recorders are so good that they can pick up the click of the control for the extension of these flaps and slats, and whether that click is heard indicating they were extended or it's not heard indicating that they weren't extended. So I am fully confident that the investigators will be able to sort this out.
The captain and his co-pilot have been named on Indian media. We've not verified it, so I won't name him. But if it is the person that they have named. He's a captain who is a line training captain. He has 8,200 hours of flying experience. His first officer has completed 1,100 hours in the air. Are they the sort of pilots that you would anticipate, you would expect would get things right?
Well, certainly they should get things right, and particularly if he's an instructor, you'd expect him to get things right. But they're human, and most accidents that are traced to pilot error are usually with very experienced captains, and you don't know if they were distracted on the taxiing out. You don't know whether they were distracted for personal reasons, if indeed they were. There could be any number of reasons why pilot error occurs if that's what happened here.
We'll leave that there. Thank you very much indeed, Scott Hamilton, for that. I'm just going to take you to some images from Ahmedabad where the Civil Aviation Minister is talking. Let's see if we can listen in.
I wanted to be here to find out more about what happened and what needs to be done. And also Honorable PM has called me and also told me to be there at the site and also look into the operations which is going on right now. And right now, if you ask me, I can only think about the passengers, their families, what they might be going through, and especially the civilians also who are there near the crash site. A lot of relief effort has been done already, right from Indian Army, NDRF, state police, medical departments, including aviation concerned departments. Everyone has attended immediately, the fire department. To the best of their abilities, they have been functioning here and doing the rescue operations. And we still have to find out the numbers. I don't want to put any wrong numbers to you, so we still have to go through the numbers. And my condolences, my prayers, my thoughts with the families of the bereaved. And we are trying to extend all the help that can be done. And even our Honorable Home Minister is also coming to inspect the site right now. He will be coming here. We'll go through another round of inspection. We'll talk to some of the people who are here and all the teams that are here. And then we are having one meeting at the Circuit House. Annex. So we will be discussing some more things there. Maybe once we go through all these discussions, I can give you some more information. But if you ask me, then I'm just thinking about the families and the passengers who are there. It's a great loss. Yes, it is. It is very. Yes. Very sad to know that Vijay Rupani ji, Chief Minister, was also there, and like you were mentioning, other nationals were also there. Children were also there. I would only say that each and every life is precious to us. Each and everyone is a very important person to us. So it's an incident which has shaken the nation also. Everyone has expressed their grief.
Seriously इस घटना को लिया जा रहा है क्योंकि इतनी टेक्नोलॉजी होने के बावजूद इस तरह की घटना होना वो एक अपने आप में बड़े सवाल है.
Yes. I'll only give one line to what you have asked right now. We are going to do a fair and thorough investigation. We are not going to spare anyone. We are not going to leave any stone unturned. We will do properly according to the protocol, and we are going to go to the depth of why this incident has happened. That much I can tell you now. बस अभी इतना काम.
Thank you.
Sardar Naidu visiting the scene in Ahmedabad, and as you were hearing from him, his thoughts and sympathies with the passengers and the families and what they're going through at the moment. The Indian Army, he said, the state police, the local medics, everyone has got involved today. The Home Minister, Amit Shah, inbound to see for himself the rescue efforts that are ongoing currently in Ahmedabad in Gujarat state. Now, before we went to him, we were hearing from Scott Hamilton about first impressions, what the experts see in the video of the takeoff. Let's talk about the plane in more detail. It's a 7878, a wide-bodied twin-engine aircraft. There are 256 seats on board typically, so this one was almost full, but it's the first time, as Scott was saying, that this particular aircraft has come down like this in 14 years of service. In fact, just 6 weeks ago, Boeing was lauding the fact that this particular model, known as the Dreamliner, had reached a milestone of carrying 1 billion passengers, which is important context, I think, on a day like this. Boeing itself, of course, has been in the headlines for all the wrong reasons of late.